Hello, everybody, and welcome to Breaking Bannock with Allison Burns Joseph. This is the first segment in a new, or rather revived, series from last year, and I'm really delighted to be hosting these conversations. My name is Jeanette. I'm the Program Coordinator at Whistler Public Library, and I'm going to invite Allison to give us an official welcome. Allison, take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeanette. Yewan Hot and Squallowin Titsits, Nathan Chimia Kashaman, Allison Queen Sna, Tenachin Kla, Chomulchison, Ochumeo, Skoho Meshov, Anwanok Squallowin, Eotin Sequatals. And so what I've said is that my ancestral name is Chilhamia. My given name is Allison. I come from the village of Capilano from the Squamish Nation. Feels really good in my heart to be here and all my relations. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining in with us, either through Facebook Live or through the Zoom session that we have going on today in this new updated version of our Breaking Bannock. I'm coming to you live from the Squamish Lil'wat Cultural Centre, and here we are in the overlapping territory where we share with both Squamish Nation, which is Coast Salish, and Lil'wat Nation, which is Interior Salish. This area is a wonderful area where we would learn, grow, harvest, and share with each and every one of our community members in this area. And doesn't matter where you are joining us or tuning in from, but we welcome you to the territory.
Thank you so much, Allison. It's so great to see you in the SLCC. I haven't been in many months, but of course you are open to the public, right? You are open Thursdays through Sundays.
Correct.
And I think I can faintly hear some drumming in the background. That must be the hourly tour, right?
It sure is.
Amazing. For those of you who are watching either on Zoom or on Facebook, you are welcome to submit questions for Allison. If you're on Zoom, you can use the Q&A function, and if you're over on Facebook, you can leave a comment. And I will be watching both. So we'll get to your questions after Allison and I have a little back and forth. And so, Allison, I wanted to start off way back at the beginning. Can you tell us how you got started at the SLCC and how long you've been there?
Definitely. So I think it's a kind of a funny story. Growing up in North Vancouver, my whole life and still living there today, I have been connected with the Squamish Nation in many different ways. And I was actually at the pre-employment center helping one of my friends create a resume. And the receptionist looks over and she goes, "Hey, Allison, are you working right now?" I said, "Yeah, but why? You got something I might be good at?" She goes, "I do." And she goes, "Send me your resume." And I actually made my resume at that location a few months prior. So it was saved on one of the computers. So I was able to find it, send it to her. And she goes, "Okay, thank you." And that was it. I go, "Oh, what's the job?" Like, so I was really unsure. But then I got the call and found out more about the position at the Squamish Lil'wat Cultural Centre, because in 2006, I took the ambassador program myself, and that was a summer internship, and it was a great way for me to explore more about the culture and learn about how the tourism industry is run and really get a good feeling of my ancestry. So when I heard the opportunity was in connection with that program to then be working here, I was head over heels. They actually first started us off working in Squamish Valley. And so I didn't actually know I'd be working in Whistler for a little while. And then when I seen the beautiful building, when they brought us up after our first initial trainings and meetings and things like that, then I was blown away with the building itself and did not care that it took me almost 2 hours to get here each and every day. It's definitely worth my time. And here I am 12 years later.
That's amazing. Yeah, what it seems like you were in the right place at the right time. That's so awesome. Now, can we take a step back even further and talk about that summer of 2006 when you were a youth ambassador?
Definitely. The Youth Ambassador program has evolved in many different ways, shapes, and forms over the years before the opening of the SLCC in 2008. We had a version called the Guardian program. There was a version that did a salmon cart at Shannon Falls. And there was quite a few different versions of the program before I was taken on in the 2006 Ambassador program. In that program, I was able to meet all sorts of new people, and we did workshops or classroom style things at the Capilano College, now University in Squamish. And then we were able to learn more of the hands-on tourism side of things at the Adventure Center, which is funny because a lot of people get the SLCC and the Adventure Center mixed up because of our beautiful glass windows. But for everyone's reference, the Adventure Center is in Squamish, the SLCC is in Whistler, and the Adventure Center did amazing job work with us, you know, telling people how to give directions, working with people that are touring in the area, understanding what other cool things people can do in our beautiful communities, and then also being able to learn some traditional art forms. I had an opportunity to make my very own paddle for an ocean-going canoe, creating drums, learning weavings, performance, how do I say it? Understanding the movements and that go along with our traditional songs and drums, and feeling confident sharing those out in the world. So that was some of my best experiences at a summer position that I've had in my entire life. And so the ambassador program really shaped a big part of me. As somebody who was not born into the Squamish Nation as a status member, I had to take it upon myself to find those connections to the community on my own. My mom was a Bill C-31, or is a Bill C-31, and that means she was not able to pass on membership. And so because my father is non-Indigenous, I was not a status member initially. And so now there was a rule or a law that came into place because of a court case, McIverson versus Canada, and that then showed inequality to women. And so if my mom wasn't my mom, if she was my dad, then I would have been a status member when I was born. So it created equality within the community. And now I'm a status individual within the Squamish Nation. And my qualifications for coming in is I'm a Bill C-3. And so it's really a great way for me to have that validation of being an Indigenous woman within the community, and it creates that equality. And the ambassador program was my big connection to the culture, to learning, to understanding the history of my people, my family, myself. And it was definitely the reason why I am who I am and where I am today.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. It kind of boggles my mind how recently the Bill C-31 and C-3, that, I mean, what was 2010 or not very long ago, right? That
Not very long ago, yeah.
Mhm. Amazing. Well, it's so great to hear your personal story of how those bills impacted you. That's very cool. Um, now, do I so think digging a little bit more into the Indigenous Youth Ambassador Program, I'm kind of getting the idea that it's very much it's culture, but it's also careers. Would you say that's kind of the two main parts of it?
I would definitely agree. We definitely rely really heavily on knowledge keepers within both Squamish and Lil'wat communities, as well as the trainings our staff have received to be able to pass it on to future generations of the program itself. The knowledge keepers could be elders, they could be people who are very passionate about a certain portion of the culture, and then also with really the certifications that people gain by taking the program. So we have things like WMIS, serving it right, food safe, first aid, things that people can really help them in finding a career following the program. People get a chance to understand uh, life in trades after the program, or careers that may lead them to working at the SLCC or back in our home communities, or even getting people passionate about going into post-secondary schooling and furthering their education that way. So there's many layers to the program, and generally I love all of the aspects because it really makes for people have a really rounded experience while they're here at the SLCC. But my personal favorite is all of the things that I get to sit on with them and learn and share with them as well. So there's so many things that are included. And they, of course, get to work in all of our functional areas. So they get to learn how to provide the tours, greet guests, prepare food in the kitchen, serve food in the cafe. They work in our retail. Everyone knows what time of year it is, year end. So a lot of them have been helping with our inventory counts, and it's amazing that people can really figure out what they want to do or what they don't want to do.
Equally important. Definitely.
Exactly.
And I guess, I mean, what a great opportunity. But what's the age range for the IYA intake?
15 to 30 years of age.
Mhm.
And we do want to make sure that everyone is understanding that we do not take people out of school to participate in the program, but sometimes mainstream school isn't for everybody.
Mhm.
And we want to make sure everyone knows that education is important.
Mhm.
And generally the type of ages that we see are straight out of high school and after. But if programs align with when schools aren't in session, then that's a great opportunity for the ones who are still continuing their education.
Mhm. Awesome. Now, my this kind of leads me into my next question. So, as Indigenous Youth Ambassador Manager, I'm wondering if you can tell us about a typical day in your work life. And I know that is probably different during COVID, but can you give us an idea of what a day looks like?
Definitely. So I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I get my stuff. I brush my teeth. No, I'm just kidding. But I do wake up at 6 because we have to be in Worcester for 9 o'clock to get everything ready. And I mentioned earlier, I live in North Vancouver. So I'm super lucky to be able to travel a big part of our Squamish traditional territory each and every day. And in the morning, we have a van that transports people like myself. So I don't actually have to do the driving myself, which is amazing. I get to enjoy the beautiful sceneries, the mountains, the water. I seen deer the other morning. So it's a really great way to prepare myself for each and every day coming into the building for that 9 o'clock start. And then once we all arrive, I get everybody organized into what they're doing for that day, whether people are working within our functional areas in-house, let them know to make sure they're going to the right spots. And then if we're doing workshops or classes, then I get everybody the info they need of where that location's gonna be and have them help set up and get the day going. And then each and every day we have our morning circle where all the staff in the building get together. And it's amazing that we've had some great weather because we've been able to go outside and share in a positive way the information to everybody, what's going on day to day, and share some songs. We generally share a song from Squamish Nation or a song from Lil'wat Nation, and a song from Lil'wat Nation, so that we can start each day off with a positive feeling and good energy. It's an amazing way to start. And then we do a cheer. And at the end of the cheer, or at the end of the count, 1, 2, 3, we go Squamish Lil'wat Cultural. And it's just a great way to really connect us and really invigorate us to get us started for each and every day. It's amazing that even during COVID, we're able to still do so. We just don't huddle together like a team anymore. We just do a distance, but it still has the same sort of effects. And if anyone is looking for opportunities out there to feel invigorated in the morning, do a cheer, sing a song. I highly suggest it. We've been doing it for 12 years now, and I still get excited. So it's a great way to start the day. Let's see. So we do our cheer, we do our songs, and then everybody either goes into their functional areas or they go into the classroom setting of what they're doing. Recently, we've had wool weaving. Travis Billy, one of the people who has taken the ambassador program in previous years, I taught him how to weave, and now he's gone far and done amazing with that art form. And now he's able to teach the new groups that come through. So he did a wonderful job teaching our current intake. And that was a wonderful experience. Where it's more on the casual side, we do have some more structured training, like with the first aid and the different protocol sessions that we do with elders. But it's interesting because they are always different, and it all depends on the type of people that we have bringing into the program, as their different energies and life experiences are always amazing to have as well. I always let our students know that it's not just us teaching them, it is them that teach us as well. So then we sometimes we do an end of the day jam session where we share some songs and get in the vans and head home.
That's an action-packed day. I love a day that starts and ends with music. That sounds wonderful. I'm wondering, you said that one of your favorite parts of your job is sitting in on the workshops that the IYAs get to attend. And, you mentioned that you did a great workshop with Travis. I'm wondering, do you have favorites that you've attended like through the years?
Oh. Anything that has to do with learning how to create,
Mm-hmm.
or legends or stories,
Mm-hmm.
are my absolute favorite, because even if I've done the session once, twice, 3 times, I feel like I still learn new things or pick up on different parts. We have Chief Gallup Cal from Lil'wat Nation come in and do a session with the students, and that's been a staple within our program for many, many, many years, even before he took on the role as chief in the Lil'wat Nation. And man, I feel like I learn something new every time I have the chance to sit in on his sessions. It's just amazing. So anything that has to do with the culture are all my favorites. No offense, Wemyss.
I think that's understood. First aid is not as exciting as culture. It's important, but that's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you folks get to just have some great experiences together. And I love what you said, that every intake is totally different because every group of young people is going to be totally different. And that must be so special for you, you know, that every single time is going to be a unique experience. That's very cool.
Oh, every intake is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Some people really gravitate to making things with the art forms, but some people really gravitate to doing more of the practical work on the floors in different areas. And some people have come from families that are avid fishermen or very connected to the land and understand plants and medicines. And it's really interesting, the conversations that come up, even if it's the same topic, it's so different with many different people because of those personal experiences in life that they have. So it's amazing.
Now, I know, Allison, you told me before we started that you just started a new intake. That's correct, right? Or fairly recently. How often do you cycle through the intakes? How often do they happen? A few times a year, maybe?
Yeah, so this intake started over a month ago. So in my opinion, still quite new. And we have them until the end of May. And we're all still really getting to know each other and find out everyone's talents and things that they like to share. After this intake, we have another intake that starts in September. And all of our future intakes currently are 14 weeks, which is longer than previous intakes, which they would be at the 12-week range. So it's nice that we have a little bit more time with them, give them a little bit more opportunity to work in the different areas and find their groove. And we have 5 intakes that will be happening, including this intake, until 2023. And that's our longest contract that we've had to create these programs. We are very excited to have this multi-year agreement with Service Canada to have the information and opportunity for the youth provided. So it's really exciting. With COVID, we have 6 people or spots that are on each of these intakes, where that has come down from having 10 spots. But that's okay, because it gives us a little bit more chance to have that one-on-one time and really, really connect with each individual that are a part of our intakes. The ambassador program is something that is very near and dear to me, and that's why I really enjoy it, is because I can really connect and see the growth in the youth over the time that we have them, and then also see them in the future, making these leaps and bounds. One of the past IYAs that we've had, her name is Taylor. I actually we're connected on Facebook. So she actually did the ambassador program and also did college or university at Capilano. And then she worked a few places in the Lower Mainland, and recently has enrolled in the US Army and has done all of that training. And now she's furthered her education even more, and now she's a dental assistant for the US Army. So, you know, it's amazing to see people's journeys and what they take on following the program. Some people we have had in the program now sit on chief and council. We have people who go back to further their education, and then with that knowledge go back into the communities to be able to share what they've learned. We have people like my brother Jeremy, who did his ECE and was able to go back and work for the nation. We have people who you know, become famous artists, all sorts of cool things. So I just really enjoy all of the stories and see the growth, and that's why each and every one is so unique and so important to me.
That must be so rewarding for you to see where people go. I just love that idea that there's no one path that people need to be on, and that they can do this program and see that all of those options are up for grabs. And if they are interested in hospitality, they can do that. Or if they're interested in working in museums, they could do that. Or like, there's just such a multitude. It's really exciting.
Definitely.
So Allison, you said your next intake is in September. If there is a person watching who is between the ages of 15 and 30 who might be interested in applying, can you tell us about that process?
Wonderful. We will be creating an updated poster, and we will be putting it out into the world probably during the summer, whether it's July or August, to be able to promote the program. If you do not have the access to see it where we post it, whether it's on our Facebook and then in physical locations that our community members frequent, or some of our partners that receive it, you can always email resumes to me. And my email is Allison, ALLISON .Burns, BURNS @slcc.ca. And there are no questionnaires to fill out to be a part of the process, just a resume, bonus points for cover letters.
That's a hot tip right there.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And folks, that's Allison with 2 L's, because there is an Allison with 1 L at the SLCC. That's awesome. Well, it's so exciting. And just thinking about the fact that you'll have 6 totally new people, it'll be like a blank slate with just a new group. How that must be like your job is constantly changing based on the people you have in the program. Never a dull moment, right?
Never a dull moment.
Awesome. Well, in our last few minutes together, I did want to ask you about art and crafting, because you mentioned, of course, that you are a weaver and you taught Travis how to weave. Can you tell us how you got into weaving?
The Ambassador Program. Chief Janice George and Buddy Joseph are the 2 elders from Squamish Nation who actually revitalized Coast Salish wool weaving within our community. We had a time where we had, I believe it was 1 wool weaver left in all of our community. Right now, Squamish is over 4,000 people. So it's, you know, quite a large pool of people where this knowledge was almost lost. And so Chief Janice George took that initiative, worked with her husband, Buddy, and they went to our neighboring communities and they did a lot of research. They talked to a lot of elders and brought back this almost lost art form for our people. And a part of the revitalization was to teach people how to create these beautiful weavings and the traditions that go with them. So if you have never been to the SLCC or plan to visit us in the future, you will notice we have large weavings that are probably 8 foot wide, you know, over 10 feet tall. They're massive. All of those were in partnership with the Royal Bank of Canada to revitalize this art form that we have currently on display that are part of the permanent exhibit. And so Chief Janice George also did some of the curation of the SLCC for when we initially opened. So she came and worked with us and gave us all a little bit of an idea of how to weave. And we did very basic pieces on very small looms because it's a lot of work. And I was hooked. I could not stop thinking about weaving after I got to do that little bit of a sample. So I got all the books, I started doing my own research, trying to play around, and did a lot of, learning on my own and a lot of failing at trying different things, but it was all worth it because 2 years ago, I was able to do a full mentorship, Travis and myself with Chief Janice George and Buddy Joseph from the Squamish Nation. And so we were able to spend 3 months together, and they gave us so much knowledge of what Coast Salish weaving is for our Squamish people. And oh man, I just feel so complete after that mentorship, and to continue on with sharing those teachings with others. It's just amazing. So that's how I started, and then I felt so confident that I was able to do classes with our IYAs and people who were interested here at the SLCC, and I just never stopped now.
That's awesome. I think that's an important point in your learning journey. When you are ready to start teaching somebody else the skill, you know that you've got it down. Now, am I correct, Allison? Are the pieces that you and Travis made during the mentorship program on display at the SLCC, or they were at some point?
They were
Okay.
placed in Gallery 1, which is our Class A museum space, on the mannequin showcasing Squamish regalia. And currently our pieces are being used for our cultural growth and sharing team. So Travis, he actually wears his quite often because he's an avid leader within that department. And my shawl that I created, one of my coworkers, Dominique, she's an amazing young woman from Squamish Nation as well, uses it when she shares dances and songs with people, whether it's virtually or before COVID in person. And it's just amazing that she's able to keep that life within it, because every weaver, when they're weaving a piece, puts their love, energy into every stitch that they create, so that the wearer who wears it has that protection. And that's why a lot of times you see Squamish people covering weavings with their heart and their head, keeping the positive in and deflecting any negative out.
Now, are these pieces, do you create them with the idea that they can only be worn in certain circumstances?
Some pieces, yes. Some pieces, no. I have a friend who loves to wear weavings any occasion. So it's all up to the individual. I have certain pieces that I only will wear for ceremony. I have a shawl that I wear for my everyday. And let's see, I have also dabbled in making more modern pieces so that the weaving can be worn, say, to a fancy cocktail dinner, or anywhere that you would want to on your day-to-day, wear it to the mall or something like that. It just makes me feel a little bit more elevated, a little bit prouder when I wear these pieces, because it is that connection to the ancestors, and it just gives me that little bump of energy. Even some days when I'm at work, I'll just put on a shawl just to feel a little extra strength. Or some days I'll put on a shawl because it's cold.
I was just gonna say, I imagine they're practical too. Like they're very warm and comfortable.
Yes. This Whistler weather in the winter, oh man, it keeps you perfect.
Hmm.
But a little bit harder to wear them in the summer.
Yes, fair enough. Well, thank you so much, Allison. It's really fascinating to hear about your journey at the SLCC. So much has happened in the last, well, you said 12 years that you've been working there, but if we go all the way back to 2006, like that's a long tenure there. It's pretty amazing.
I sure love this place.
Hmm. I'm going to do one last call out. Hi, friends on Facebook. If you have questions, please leave a comment on the video. Friends here on Zoom, you are also welcome to leave a question here on Zoom. I'm sure Allison will be happy to answer if you have any questions that we haven't addressed already today. So Allison, I wanted to go over before we let our audience go. So the SLCC is open to the public Thursdays through Sundays. What is the time? 10 to 5?
10 till 5,
10 till
cafe
5.
closes at 4.
Okay, gotcha. Thunderbird Cafe is open for takeout. Wonderful. Bringing home the Bannock is still being offered on Fridays, and everybody out there needs to have a Bannock donut, or you're not truly living your life. They're so good. Anything else I need to know? I guess, full safety measures are being taken when visitors come to the SLCC, masks, hand washing, physical distancing. But you're still doing hourly tours, is that correct?
The difference with the tours that we're doing right now is that we share a song, as
Mhm.
you heard earlier,
Mhm.
and we have our wonderful 15-minute film, which is a
Mhm.
great overview of both of the Squamish and Lil'wat communities.
Mhm.
And instead of physically walking people throughout the building, we have ambassadors at tables so
Mm.
that our guests can tour themselves around the
Mhm.
building, so that it keeps that physical distancing to, a minimum
Mhm.
where guests can be really self-paced as they come
Mhm.
along. And hopefully in the future, we'll be able to get back into the full guided tour throughout the building.
Fingers crossed.
And not have to wear masks in here.
I mean, you must feel very liberated being in the gallery by yourself with no mask on.
Exactly.
I was in the library by myself last night and I didn't have to wear a mask and it was just, it was amazing. Well, if we don't have any questions, we've got people watching, but no questions are rolling in. So I guess we will clue up there. But before we go, folks, you're hearing it here first. The next speaker in this series is going to be Maggie Wallace, and Maggie is the first cook at the Thunderbird Cafe at the SLCC. So Maggie will be our next guest, and we will be talking to Maggie on Thursday, May 13th at noon. Same time, same place. And we hope that we'll see lots of you there. It's going to be a great conversation. Allison, any last thoughts to share before we say goodbye?
I appreciate taking the time to work on this and to ask those questions and to create this awareness. So I appreciate you for doing this. Thank you so much. And I also wanted to give everybody a shout out for Maggie, because she is an amazing ambassador, and she also graduated our ambassador training program. And you're gonna love learning more about her. She's a sweet young woman.
Awesome. Well, on that note, let's say goodbye to our friends on Facebook. Goodbye, Facebook.